How do you charge premium rates in construction for your projects? My name is Daniel Quindemil, founder of Builders, and I'm a construction consultant where I specialize in helping contractors grow their construction business. And today we're going to talk about the biggest myth in construction, which is that the low bidder always wins the job. In construction, there's this philosophy or there's this idea, and it's been around for decades because I've been hearing this for more than 12 years since I started in construction, that if you want to win a project, that you always have to be the low bidder. Let me tell you something, time and time again, I've busted that myth. I've destroyed that myth. Like, as a matter of fact, before I started Builders, I was a senior project manager at a commercial construction company, and we were actually pretty expensive. We weren't always the high bidder and we weren't always the low bidder, but we usually stayed in that like sweet spot in the middle. I mean, I think we were like never the low bidder. And I think the reason behind that was we knew how valuable it was to perform amazing service. So without realizing it, we started activating these principles, which I'm going to share with you today, about increasing your perceived value, that our clients were willing to pay more for us. And I want to share that with you. There's 3 ways people buy. 1 is based on your reputation. 2 is based on your relationships. And 3, it's based on your price. Those are the only 3 reasons people buy. And the idea is people will buy when the level of perceived value is higher than what your price is. So if you come in at 100,000 and in their mind, maybe they don't quantify it, but in their mind, they're okay paying that even though your competitors are a little lower, it's because you've demonstrated to them trust, character, good craftsmanship through their dealings with you. So if you have a good reputation with them, if you've worked with them in the past, maybe you have a good name in the industry, maybe you were referred, maybe a friend of yours or family member or another business referred you, those are going to be tactics and strategies that are going to increase your perceived value. This happens all the time. If you're dealing with a new client, they don't know you, then the only thing they have to go by is the price. So you come in low, you beat your competitors by bidding at cost. So basically pay your own salary, pay all your overhead, your expenses, your labor, materials, and then but bid at cost. And then now you're going to have an opportunity to start getting what I call behind enemy lines. Now you get to start talking with a developer or the developer's team, the project managers. If it's a GC that you're talking to, you're going to be able to talk to the GC, the estimators, the vice presidents, the principals of the firms. You're going to be able to kind of like get in and prove your worth. When you bid your first job and you win it, they're usually not going to give you a very high profile or complicated job. They're probably going to give you something small, something that they could just kind of like throw a bone at you. They're not going to give you anything big, just not to start. You're going to work your way up. But what you do is you come in low and you start building hardcore. You build these relationships heavily with all their team and become friends with them, get to know them, be the best of the best. When you're doing the projects, knock them out of the park, show up on time, show up with more crews than they expected, finish the job ahead of schedule. Like, this should be like in the beginning, you should be killing it as much as you can, because this is going to be the first impression that these people have of you. So what do you think about that? Comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. It might be the case that you have a friend of yours that works at a construction company and says, hey, I want to bring in this, contractor in, or maybe it's a friend of yours that's a developer and wants to give you some work. But that's not always the case. The truth is that 99.9% of the people that you're going to be talking to are people that don't know who you are. So, which is awesome, because that means we have an unlimited stream of people that we can talk to. And as the years pass, there's always going to be new contractors and new developers and new architects and new people, because that's just how it is. People will work at a business and they launch their own business, and now they need subcontractors or they need GCs to recommend to their clients if they're architects. So what happens is you're always going to have an unlimited stream of leads. So use, like paid lead platforms and things like that, so you can get people in the door. You bid the jobs really low, basically at cost. Then you get behind enemy lines, you get familiar with the people. And what happens is now you're starting to build your reputation within the companies and within the people. And they're going to start referring you to each other. Like, hey, who did your drywall? Hey, who's your painting contractor? Hey, who's the GC you use on that renovation? I want to use them. And they're going to start referring internally to each other. And you're going to start building up that reputation, which is your perceived value. You're going to start building up the relationships, which is increasing your perceived value. And because you're doing such a good job, you're going to have an amazing reputation and relationship within that company. Those people eventually after 3, 4, 5 years, move on to the next company. It could be the next GC, it could be a developer, it could be another architecture firm. They're going to take you with them. So you're going to build all these relationships with company A. And then when one of the people leave to company B, guess who they're going to take with them? They're going to take you. So now you get 2 GCs that you're in. And then again, the same process is going to happen. Who's doing your job? Who's it? And then you start getting that reputation within that company. But it happens a lot faster because you already did it once with the person. So you kind of like bypass the time frame that you typically need. So is this giving you value? Go ahead and click the subscribe button, because we're on a mission to help contractors grow their construction business. And we release videos like this every single week. Now, once they know your value, now you don't bid at cost. Now you put a little bit more percent, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And you kind of keep escalating your number little by little until you get a pushback. Oh, your number's too high. Oh, your number's too high. Your number's too high. But what happens is, if you built these really good relationships, they're going to be willing to pay more money for you. Obviously, there's a cap to that. You're not going to go and come in, 50% higher than everybody else, because that's just ridiculous. But you probably can be the high bidder and still win the jobs. I remember there was a company that we used to bid for all the time. The guy, we had just estimated a job, and he calls me. One of the project managers called me. He's like, "Hey, Daniel, we're going to give you the job, but you know how this is. Can you give me a discount? Can you lower the price somehow? Because I'm doing the buyout." And, I dropped my price, like, I don't know, a couple $1,000, and we landed the job. And again, we made some money in change orders and things like that. But the point is that we were probably the high bidder or one of the higher bidders. And the guy straight up said, "We're going to give you the job. I just need a little bit of a better price." And I was like, boom, done deal. And that's another thing. A lot of times people will lose a job because they get greedy. I'll give you an example. Let's say you bid 500,000 and the guy comes back and says, "Hey, I have a guy that's at 495,000. You're like, "Oh, I don't want to give any more discounts." You're like, no, I keep my price. Or maybe he's at 490. You're like, "Man, I don't want to drop my price that much." And then you try to like nitpick the pennies. And guess what? Now they give that job to that other guy. But guess what? Look at their numbers. See, hey, if the guy comes in, I learned this negotiating strategy from a business expert. If you look at your numbers and you can do it for that 490, just take the job at that, because you're going to land a client. Maybe they're lying to you that the other guy is cheaper than you, but who cares? You can do it. You're going to get a job. You're going to get work for your people. You're going to get a good profit margin. Maybe it's a little less than what you had expected, but then what comes after? The change orders. Every job is going to yield 10 to 30% in change orders over the natural progression of the project. There's going to be things that come up that didn't get picked up in the plan review that the inspectors are going to pick up. There's going to be owner changes. The owner's going to come in and say, "No, you know what? I want to change this. I change the layout." A lot of times architects rush through plans because they have their own deadlines, or the owners rush through it because they want to get started right away. But then as time passes, they start noticing like, "Oh, we got to change this. We got to fix this. You know what? Let's change this baseboard to this type of material. Let's change the countertop to this." And these are times that you can actually put premium rates in your numbers because they're not going to go somewhere else. Contractually, they have to do the change orders with you. So now that you're charging premium rates, there is a specific strategy, one, to get there, and a strategy that's going to take you to the next level where you're really going to explode and multiply your business. And I want to share that with you in the free video training that I made. In the description below, there's going to be a link where you can see our video. We're going to show you the full framework on how to get leads, how to estimate the projects, and how to close them, and how to build lifetime clients so that you can multiply your business in the next 90 days. So go ahead and click the link below, or go to iambuilders.com/training.